just kind of ask you, what is NCCP and how does this course align with it?
Sure. So NCCP is the National Coaching Certification Program in Canada. So if you wanted to coach any sport in Canada, somehow every sport in Canada aligns in some way with NCCP. So some sports will ask you to fulfill all of their certifications, and some sports ask you to fulfill a couple of them. But essentially, if you were coached by somebody when you were younger or coached by somebody now that has their coaching certifications, they would have some NCCP certifications. So what we have done in our program is Grant and myself, that's my little one, by the way. Grant and myself became facilitators. She's joining in on the conversation too. Became facilitators with NCCP, which just means that we can certify you guys probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I guess now. So what we decided to do is we decided to create this course that Julian's teaching, is the coaching course 3700, and align a lot of the principles that have to do with 7 certifications that NCCP offers. So the 7 certifications, we won't go into great detail with each one, just because I will be going over that in the winter term in 4500 with you. But there are 7 certifications that you potentially can get, and this actually helps kind of bundle your certifications to become a multi-sport community level coach. So if you wanted to, I'm going to give you a couple of examples, coach house league for the local hockey league or house league soccer, these certifications all bundled together would help promote you getting your certification. It's not sport specific, it is for multi-sport. So most sports, let's say if it's rugby, hockey, soccer, they will actually ask you before you do the individual pieces of that sport to do some of these baseline certifications. And an example is planning a practice. So how do you put a practice together? Another one is making ethical decisions. Another one is basics of nutrition. So what we did in 3700 is we took a bunch of components from the certifications and actually embedded them into this course, as well as 4500, which is the one that you'll have with me in the winter term. So which is great news for you guys, because you guys just have to do the course, get a certain grade point average, and then you get the certifications. One thing I should mention is, in order to be considered for the certifications, there's 2 things. Like I said, the grade point average. So in Julian's course in 3700, you have to get an 80%, and in 4500, you have to get an 80% or better in order to be considered. And you also need to purchase the resources from NCCP. So those resources you won't have to worry about it now. You can purchase them with me, and I'll guide you through it in the winter semester. Purchase the resources, and then you get the 80% and 80%, and then I can sign off on the 7 certifications for you. And that is it.
Awesome. So during this course, as long as I receive the 80%, that's all it's required.
That's it. They have to get an 80% or better in the course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, so why would this benefit me if I don't intend to coach a team, or if I don't have interest in that?
That's a great question. So a lot of the pieces in the course, I do think pertain to potentially to teaching, if that's what you'd like to get into, also into personal training in the fitness field. So planning a practice, can be utilized in teaching, can be utilized in group fitness, in personal training, running small group fitness sessions. So I think some of the pieces from that certification would be beneficial to kind of all sectors of this industry. Also, making ethical decisions, that's another one that can be used in proper decision making in all sectors as well. A lot of students in the past have said, you know what, I'm not interested in sport. So why would I want these certifications aside from just the great knowledge? If you go for a job with the city, or any position that you potentially could be doing, even some sort of group fitness or youth programming at all, even if it's not you instructing or teaching, if you're the one that is just facilitating the programming, a lot of jobs do recognize and do ask that you have some of the NCCP certifications. So I know there's been city jobs in the past that have asked for certifications, have asked for coaching certifications, but that position wasn't necessarily directly working with that age group. It was just to make sure that you had a broad spectrum of knowledge in each different sector of like youth, teenagers, adults, and then moving into seniors. So we've seen it beneficial if you wanted a job working for the city. We've seen people utilize these certifications if they wanted to become a teacher or an EA, because then it would allow them to help out and help out, not potentially coach a sport, but if you are an EA at the school, you do require certifications even to be the staff advisor for that sport. And those things are things that, you know, look good on your resume if you wanted to potentially get full-time work. 1 second. Are you going to do that?
No, I can totally agree with that too. I see it as an asset. I've been involved in many hirings, and
Yeah.
those that do have that is seen as a real asset to the team. And it's, I guess, for lack of a better word, really cross-curricular. It doesn't really
Right.
set itself into, you know, coaching a team. It can really lend itself to many different avenues.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the city, the CFB, if you're looking at potentially getting in to military fitness, they really look fondly on NCCP certifications. We've had some students that kind of come back a couple of years after graduation and have asked if they can still obtain their NCCP certs working for the military base, because they didn't really realize that they may need to do some sports skills and or teach some sports skill development courses, and then they actually have been asked to do so. Because working for PSP, the military base, isn't just military folks who are 20 plus. You could potentially be working with their families. So if you are wanting to work in fitness and recreation with the military, then I think this would be very beneficial as well. So yeah, so it just isn't just for sport. I think that, you know, if you want to get into any sort of recreation, if you want to get into any sort of programming where you're creating and designing the program, I think these certifications are super helpful, and I think would lend a hand to padding your resume for sure.
So I noticed something that you can do right now, and that's sign up for the locker. Is that something that they should be doing, or should be creating a profile?
No, we're gonna leave all NCCP pieces until January, so you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to create your own locker. You don't have to purchase the books. All you need to do right now is show up for Julian's class, do the labs, do the work, get a great mark, and you'll be setting yourself up for January.
Great. And is there any cost I should be aware of come the winter?
In the winter, yes, there will be a cost for the resources. They change every year. So if I quote you on something right now, it may change. Last year it was $82, I believe, 80 or 82. So it isn't a crazy amount. but every year it does seem to go up a little bit. But the good thing about this certification, because I know a lot of you are looking into possibly getting your CSEP or OFC in the future. With those certifications, you do need to renew them every 2 to 4 years, and there is a cost that is associated with the renewal fee or the renewal of the certs. There is no renewal fee, so you would purchase the textbooks and the resources at, let's say it's $100. That's it for life. So to put it into perspective, if I go into my locker room, and next semester I'll show you guys mine, I have certifications, and this is really going to age me from 92. You're probably thinking, I wasn't even born then. I can't believe it. Yeah, no, that's, I'm talking about myself. You guys are probably thinking, she wasn't even born then. No, I have certs from 92, and Grant probably has certs from the 70s.
Wow. And these certifications, do they ever expire? Do I have to do things to keep them current, or once I'm certified, I'm certified?
Once you're certified, you're certified. They have talked in the past few years of potentially doing some sort of upkeep, but they decided not to do so because each sport, so if you decide to get into soccer or hockey, within that governing body of that specific sport, they will make you do upkeep courses to keep those certifications. So they decided for the multi-sport, not to do upkeep, but every few years we hear that might happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Great. And how easy, once certified, is it to further the certification process and get all those different things you're talking about?
Yeah, no, easy. You just go onto the NCCP website, and they're offering courses. Pre-COVID, they were offering them in person. Of course, in larger cities, it's easier to find some, but in Kingston alone, Grant and myself have held a bunch of them as well. Yeah, they're fairly easy to get, but now I think it's even easier because all of them are online.
Okay, and worst case scenario, I do not get my 80%, and I do not get it this time. So what would be my next step if I still want to try to do that?
Still want to do it? There is a supplemental assignment that you can do at the end of 4th semester. And it depends if you what you weren't successful in. So if you weren't successful in 37 and 45, not achieving the 80% or better, then the supplemental will look a little bit different. If it was only one of the courses, then it would also look a little bit different. So it just reflects what course maybe you weren't successful in. That's it.
And I don't want to end on a negative note like that, but how have you seen it benefit your life? We'll end it with this question. How have you seen
my
life? Yeah, and how has it kind of furthered your career?
Yeah. So I've coached for years, and as a part-time job through school. So this is good for all of you guys. I coached with the city. I lived in Toronto all through school, so I coached with the city. I coached at different clubs, and it was a great part-time gig for me. And then when I ended up teaching at St. Lawrence, I ended up coaching at St. Lawrence. So I coached at St. Lawrence for 9 years. I coached the women's soccer team for 9 years, and I wouldn't have been able to obtain that position if I didn't have my certifications. So I thought for me it served me well, just because I ended up using it as a part-time gig all through school. And then when I started teaching at St. Lawrence, I got to coach something that I loved at the college level. So that was great. And then another part is, and then I got to design this course and teach it. So that's
it just keeps going.
Keeps going.
Full circle.
You got it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate your time, and I don't care that the kids are yelling. I'm surprised mine are quiet right now for this whole thing.
I
But
apologize to all of you guys for listening to Ray. When I'm back in January, I won't have Ray. I won't have Ray growling in the mic.
they might want it. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. It would be entertainment.